Joining Lisa and Teslin, you saw him on the show last week, but you can't have too much of the mooch. Please welcome former White House Communications Director and author of Trump, the Blue Collar President, Anthony Scaramucci. Oh my God. Do you do that? Is that your thing now?
Well, listen, it's not the Colbert Show, so they're saying mooch. They're not booing me. Right?
You got to clarify that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good clarification.
Thank you, Steve.
Exactly. So come on then, the economy. So we talked about it last week, and I want to come back to it because I think it's so important. I don't want to go over the great numbers. We've been talking about it a lot. It's phenomenal. I want to focus on the threat to that economy. And it's all about this confidence, isn't it? The business confidence that has led to the investment, which has led to the jobs and the wage increases. If the Democrats get in, that confidence goes.
Yeah, well, I think that if the Democrats get in, it'll definitely slow down the president's momentum. The good news, though, is that he's so confident on business, and American CEOs, large and small, are confident in him on business, that I think the business confidence will be okay. But the real threat that I see is in the trade situation, because the trade situation could slow down the economy inadvertently. The president is aware of that, which is why he's signaling to people that he's going to get a trade deal done with the Chinese, and he's close on that. And so I predict he gets that done by the end of January at the latest. And then he has a very, very nice story to tell going into 2019 and 2020. So I think that's one big potential headwind. The second headwind is the Federal Reserve right now is raising rates, as people know. That will slow down elements of the economy. Interest rate sensitive areas of the economy are already slowing a little bit. But the Fed has to do that because we're spending a lot of money on deficit spending right now. And in order to make our debt attractive, we have to make sure that we don't have a lot of inflation. And so those are some of the things that I'm personally worried about. I manage $11.5 billion, so this is stuff I look at every day. But here's the great thing about what's going on. The president has moved to delayer the regulation in the economy, and that has had an unbelievable effect on capital investment. And so as that flows back into the economy, and if we get this thing right over the next 3 or 4 years, this is a sustainable path to 3.5–4% growth, which will solve a lot of our problems, entitlement and otherwise.
So just a quick response on that. Any of those problems that you very smartly identified there made better by having the Democrats take the House or the Senate?
No. No, of course
I think
not.
that's what we need.
That's obvious.
That's kind of how I feel.
It's not, because, they're not focused on that. They're focused on microaggressions, political correctness.
Right.
And they're focused.
Right, isn't it?
They, one of the big things, and thank you so much for the shout out of my book last week. One of the things I wrote about is that the president really focused on lower income, and middle-class people, and frankly, the blue-collar people of America that have been forgotten by the establishment of both parties, Stephen. And so this is the real champion cause for him, President of the United States. And we need him to have the right members of the House and the Senate so that he can get more done.
Keep going and accelerate. So, Teslin, I mean, what Anthony just said is exactly right. It's tough for the Democrats to find fault with this, although they are trying. I saw Tom Perez today trying to find fault with it, and it was pointed out to him that the jobs picture is better than in any of the 4 years when he was actually the Labour Secretary. And he was kind of going on about, well, it's not as good as you think. Do you think that effort by the Democrats to say either it's not as good as you think, or it can't last, or it's all Obama's anyway, do you think that will affect how people feel in terms of their vote?
Well, it obviously made a difference on why people went with President Trump in 2016. The left has consistently ignored people like myself. Even though I work for Senator Sanders, I am independent, I am not a socialist, I'm a 2-time award-winning business owner that was a staffing manager that actually put people to work. So the left has done a terrible job consistently, year over year over year, not just now with President Trump, but consistently forgetting that there are people who are actually in business. There are people who do believe in capitalism. There are people who do believe in the private sector, but still have a soft heart, for emotion and still all of the things that the Democrats, push as far as social issues. So they have never been able to quite do that balance. And now you see even further to the left, like what Mooch is talking about, and not talking about the economy. And that's what's really going to hurt when it comes down to who's going to vote. I don't care about what the polls are saying, because we all know that the polls are wrong. But when it comes down to who goes into that booth and makes that decision, obviously in 2016, when they go into that booth, you will get a chance to see how people really feel. Are you living better than what you did the last 4 years? And at the bottom line is, regardless, if you are out and working, you're going to continue working regardless of who's in administration. And I think people agree
if you want to come to the riot, we'll have you on the team. Sounds like you kind of want to.
Just hang on a second. there you go.
Okay,
Look
that
at that. You
kinda
never thought
sounds
you didn't think you'd be doing that when you're on the Bernie campaign.
Yeah,
All right.
well, it's
so
the truth.
I'll get you to come in a second, Lisa. But I just wanted to get a point here from Larry. Where's Larry? There you are. So tell us, your thought was just actually very similar to something that Anthony was talking about in terms of the fiscal situation.
Well, Democrats and Republicans refuse to pay for increased spending or tax reductions by corresponding cuts in existing spending to balance the budget. America is maybe going the way of the world's superpower to the world's super debtor nation, resulting in our economic collapse, just like the Roman Empire. No mighty nation lives forever.
So can I get Lisa could you respond on that? This debt question doesn't seem to be featuring in the election at all.
No, it's not, and that is sad. And we have seen increases in the debt even under President Trump. And I would say that nobody wants to tackle the main drivers either, which are these entitlements, because people realize that it's a politically toxic issue, and that's why they don't want to address it. And it's sad. But I mean, I do think the economy, because it is so strong, we had those such great job numbers on Friday, 250,000 jobs added. I do think that's going to be a huge boost to Republicans, especially heading into Tuesday, because you look at, I think it's 65% of voters right now view the economy as either going extremely well or very well, which is the highest in nearly 2 decades. So people are feeling that in the sentiment. So I think that really helps Republicans. And I think it also helps potentially mitigate losses for Republicans in some of these competitive districts and maybe even some of these districts where Hillary Clinton won. However, I think immigration is going to be one of the biggest drivers to the polls for Republicans, and people don't pay as much attention to that.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because we might be talking about it. I'm so sorry. I know you want to jump in, but the mooch is staying with it. We got to leave it there for now.